Hello friends, this is the second lecture for the third day of this FTP program Nuances in Research Writing, especially for biologists. And in this session we are going to speak about the plagiarism copyright issues. And in the last session we have seen about the copyrights policies which are maintained for the journal authors as well as for the publishers. And if there is a breach of copyright, then it is called plagiarism. Whatever you do, if you are violating the copyrights, it comes under plagiarism. Plagiarism is not something which is starting at the research writing. It starts from your school days. We are copying other sentences. We are even copying text from the books. In India, we ask our students to just memorize the text which is available in the book. That itself is counted for plagiarism, most cases. So there are different types of plagiarism. We'll be studying about it now. And then we will also speak about the scenarios and common mistakes that we do in case of plagiarism, and also a few basic guidelines about plagiarism and the resources that you have to follow for making the research article without any plagiarism. So these are the things that we are going to do now, and please have your undivided attention so that it is possible for you to learn maximum. At first, we have to study what plagiarism is all about and how we have to avoid. Plagiarism is a serious issue today in the scientific world. Most of the articles which has been published before 2000s, they might be having some plagiarism, but nobody worried about it. But after 2000s, there was a big bloom in the journal world, and the people concentrated more on publishing. So the words like plagiarism, sharing of articles, open access, all gets developed to a great extent, and we are now very serious and particular about it. Different types of plagiarism which can be recorded here. One of the important things is that stealing of the research works that others are doing. It can be put in the same way. It's like making others write up as our own without even citing them, without even giving any courtesy for them. So this is a very serious type of plagiarism which is existing today. Making others' article as ours. And another one is patchworking. One fellow, if he is interested in writing a research article but he doesn't know how to do with that, then he goes on getting the paragraphs from one article, first paragraph from one article, second paragraph from the other article, and third paragraph from the third article, making it as an article like setup and publishing it. If it is getting published, it's called patchworking. He's actually not doing anything. He is placing the contents of other resources in his own and making it as his own. It's actually not his own, but it's the product that he has been formed, patchworked from the other available resources in this world. This patchworking is a serious threat. Maybe some other might have done this merely out of ignorance, but it's actually studying the quality of the research content as well as the research community that we have to avoid all these things. And the other important thing is insufficient paraphrasing. We have to paraphrase sentences. There is no other way for us to go. Actually, there are various sentences which are unique, but there are sentences which are very common too. In the research world, sometimes we have to use sentences repeatedly. One author might have written like this, and we have to modify it at least to a certain extent so that it can be ours. So paraphrasing is a regular concept which is happening in the research community, but if you are doing the paraphrasing in an insufficient manner, it's actually studying the quality and it's counted for plagiarism. Misquoting is another serious threat. If you're copying a sentence from an article, and the article is a product of the author, and it is the intellectual property of the author, and it is not your own, you have to cite the article in your content. And if you are placing without any paraphrasing, then you have to place it between the quotes. Double quotes are needed for you to do. If you don't place the double quotes, then it's a serious error and it's the plagiarism. Duplication of publications, it's very serious, and you can be even taken any legal actions against you, and legal actions are quite common for duplications of publications. And these are important things. Other than this, there are numerous other types of plagiarisms. Cloning the same existing content as our own, remixing too many articles and making our own article, and even retweeting and copying others' Facebook posts, Instagram posts. All these comes under the plagiarism issue. Hybridizing things, and in some cases we reuse. We think as if we are reusing the content, but it's actually not. We have to do it within the framework of laws, and that is very important. Legal possibilities are very low for you to do. If you understand the copyright, and it would be better for you to understand plagiarism too. If you don't look at the copyright video and come here for plagiarism, then it's actually going to be something very funny. It's because copyrights are something which is very important, and every author's material is holded by a copyright. And this copyright speaks about the rules and regulations that you have to do, whether you have to do this or not. In case of a plagiarism issue, it's the breach of copyright, and if copyright is not providing you the content to be copied, you should not do that. If the copyright agreement is providing the content to be freely disseminated at any cost, then it's possible for you to copy the content too. This is a case study. See, May is a girl who is doing her second year graduate program, and she is copying sentences from various authors. She is not putting the quotes, double quotes is not there, but still she is giving the citation, reference citation is there, source citation is placed, but double quotes are not there. She has not paraphrased it, modified it, but it's count for plagiarism issue. What is it? It's not ethical, it's not fair. What she is doing actually is that she is using the intellectual property of other without the permission of that person. That person has not permitted her to use her content by herself. But the problem here is it's entirely different. She has misunderstood the concept just by citing it. It's that she is giving reference for that text, but it's actually not. If you paraphrase the sentences and make it your own, double quotes are not needed. But without paraphrasing, if you are using the content as such, then it is needed for you to put double quotes and also the reference citation. The reference citation is there for you to ensure that you have taken the concept from here. It's possible for you to read any paper, any number of paper, and it's acceptable for you to take the concept inside your mind. There is no hard and fast rule for that. But here, if you are copying the same sentence, it's under the intellectual property rights. Same sentence should not be there. You should not repeat the sentence. You should not repeat it as such in your research article. So after getting the concept in your mind, if you are synthesizing your own sentence, it's not going to be wrong. And this is very important. See, it's a big offense. And in some countries, people will be jailed even for this plagiarism issue. And in US and the European countries, it's going on a very serious issue, and even the degree can be removed from them, and the post that they are holding can be rejected. And there are various scenarios that we can speak about. The first one is the combination of various sentences from different articles and making it into a paragraph. And one person has submitted a paper in a class, and he has copied his work from other, not citing it. That is also counted for plagiarism. And one another he has cited, but he has not placed the quotation mark, as we have seen already, and this is also counted for plagiarism issue. And if one person has removed all the data points, all the values, all the statistics that a person has given has been removed, and he is incorporating his own statistics, his own data, and making a new report out of it, this is a serious plagiarism issue. If you have to make your own report, you have to synthesize it in your own words. It's not that you have to follow the other words of the other authors. So what we have to do is we have to write our own. Maybe you are not having good English, maybe you are not having much technical knowledge to write it. You can learn and write it. Also, you can get the help from experts. It's possible for you to get if you go on searching for an expert. But serious thing is that if you try to do it by yourself, by copying sentences from others, it will be counted for plagiarism, and it's going to be an argumentary one. And common mistakes we do is that we are in a very we are in a world which is running too fast, and every one of us, we are having our own works, and we cannot spend much time in research at all. For a person who is working in a college, they have their own struggles, and they have to concentrate 80% on teaching and 20% alone on research. For them to write a research article, it's a big difficulty. But there is no other way for you to go. You have to sit and write, have to synthesize your own sentences. But people often do is that they cut and paste the sentences from the electronic resources, and this is one common mistake they do. And other common mistakes, they use to download materials which are not possible to be done in normal cases. They hack the websites, crack the sites, they crack the software, use it as themselves. Then it's also in a copyright infringement, and this is also quoted here. And in some other cases, people just modify the statistics and use their source, and that is also a serious error that we are doing. And improper paraphrasing is one another serious mistake that we have to think about. How can we avoid all these things? One important thing that you have to do is, if you are having the habit of writing the research article by your pen and paper, be serious about the quotations. Most of the time, you may be writing something or you may be copying something, but you are not making the quotation marks. Then the typewriter who is typing it may not understand, and he may miss the mark. He may miss quoting it, or if your quotation marks are not proper, or if your quotation marks are not visible, you may miss the quotation mark. So you have to be very serious while you are using this quotation marks. And the problem here is that most of us, we don't know much synonymous words. You have to learn some synonymous words. If you need, you can use thesaurus, and other scientific tools are available in the internet. So many availabilities, possibilities for you to just seek the thesaurus are there. So you have to go on seeking these things. You can use a very good dictionary so that it is possible for you to avoid plagiarism. And one of the important things that we have to do is we can be energized or we can be boosted out of a research article, but we should not copy a research article. It can be a model, it can be kept in front of us as a model, but it should never be our own. And while you are using an article as a model, to what extent you can use it should be known to you. You should not use the exact words, you should not use the exact type of work that you have done. And the problem here is some people, they started using the work style of a research article. They started writing in the style of a research article, and they start using their own text as for their research article. So these things may make very funny, and it may be counted for plagiarism seriously. So we have to be very serious while you are doing it. And in some cases, if you feel that you have to cite the resource references, you have to cite. Even after paraphrasing, you can write the references so that it is possible for you to escape from all these infringements. One other important thing is that plagiarism is more or less getting very cultural. In US and all, if a school student is copying a text from the internet and submitting it as an assignment, it's becoming very crime. But in most of the Asian cultures, students are asked to memorize the subject. Students are asked to show their intelligence by memorizing or vomiting the text that is available in their booklets. In India, even undergraduates and postgraduates are doing that. And this activity is something very funny here. See, the problem when you are creating here is we have tests. In all the test papers, our students are vomiting the text that is already available in the textbook. It's actually not, it's a plagiarism. To say that this is a plagiarism, what they have to do, they have to read the textbook, they have to understand it, have to reproduce it in their own language, in the style that they could do. So this plagiarism issue is becoming very cultural. See, but in global arena, we are publishing research articles, and we cannot expect the same thing that is in India could be there in the America. As we are in the global arena, and nowadays we are speaking more about open access publications at all, we have to be very serious about the other country laws too. Most of the papers are getting retracted because of plagiarism issues. Most of them, they are making the data from the other research articles. In some countries, which I don't want to name, they are making research articles. There are agents who could make research articles and award them PhDs too. And it's a very serious issue. They download 3 or 4 research articles and they take the data of those research articles, combine it into a thesis. And this is happening in some countries. And in some other countries, they are changing the places. They are changing the misreporting the data. And the results, falsification of these results are happening. And in some cases, they use the exact words where they have no credit to use that. So these things are creating the retraction of articles. And it's becoming very big error in the scientific community. And falsification of data is also available in most of the journals. And then if you look at this plagiarism, if a person is accusing other for plagiarism issue, he can complain and take a legal action. While he is complaining it to the authority, this legal action can proceed with the help of the editor who has taken it. When the editor is communicated from the IPR office, and he is asked to do that, he will organize a committee, and this committee will look after the plagiarism issue. When the plagiarism issue is confirmed, this article can be retracted, or if it is a thesis, it can be reduced, and the degree that has been awarded would be holded. And in some cases, they can be moved out of their service too. They can be depromoted to the next level, or they can lose their jobs if plagiarism issue is very serious. And plagiarism issues sometimes cannot be tracked that easier. You look at both the research articles, both the magazine articles, they have same content, but this fellow has copied the content and paraphrased it as his own. The problem here is he has not cited the John Bird. The original author has not been cited. And the citation of the original author is very important here. If you don't quote him or if you don't cite him, it can be counted for plagiarism issue. This is also defense minister then, and his defense minister post was removed because he was accused of having plagiarism in his double degree. And such things would also happen in Tamil Nadu also. There was a thing which has happened some years back, some 3 or 4 years back. A principal was moved out of his service because of having serious plagiarism in his thesis. I don't want to name the college, but that was a big issue. You see, if a person was promoted to that cadre as the principal of an institution, and if he was accused and removed from his service by the legal community, then it is a big shame. And so we have to be very cautious about all these issues. And this is a free software which is available, and you can anytime download the software, open source software for plagiarism identification, WCopy. You can download the software to identify plagiarism. So it works well with the 64-bit computers. You can do that. Then there are also various other plagiarism detection tools. If you go and type the Google as 10 free plagiarism detection tools, you can get many blogs reporting those plagiarism detection sites. Many sites are there: Plagiarism, Plagiarism Checker, Proof of, and many others are available in the field. You go and do a local search so that it is possible for you to identify. Also, there are so many resources that you can study from the internet. Committee on Publication Ethics is a standard committee which has been organized by various publishers, and it's a group which is giving us the rules and regulations. What an editor has to do if a plagiarism issue is reported in his journal, what an author has to do if a plagiarism is there in his article, what a reviewer has to do when he sees or finds a plagiarism in the article that he or she is reviewing. So these things could be available in the Committee on Publication Ethics, and they have a wonderful blog which discusses about various possibilities. Crossref is also doing wonderful work, and they have a Crossref repository which consists of various research articles, and so they have also come out with softwares like Authenticate and Crosscheck, which checks the research articles for plagiarism. And Duke's University, they also have some wonderful resources about plagiarism, and DePaul University is also most cases. So there are different types of plagiarism. We'll be studying about it now. And then we will also speak about the scenarios and common mistakes that we do in case of plagiarism, and also a few basic guidelines about plagiarism and the resources that you have to follow for making the research article without any plagiarism. It's also providing such resources for us. There are various online tutorials which guides you to get rid of this plagiarism. Also various steps through which we can avoid plagiarism. This is a 3 simple steps through which we can avoid plagiarism. The first one is to summarize the text. Whatever text you are getting, you are reading, you just go through that, take it into your mind and reorganize it, summarize it in your own words, and write it by yourself so that it is possible not to get counted for plagiarism. The second one is, if you are using the text as such, you have to quote it and cite the reference of the author too. And quoting is very important. If you avoid the quoting of the text, if it's not paraphrased, it's a serious error, it's counted for plagiarism. And the third one is paraphrasing. Whatever things you are doing with paraphrasing should not be moderate. Paraphrasing should be strong. If you do a strong paraphrase, then you could be able to avoid plagiarism. You can make use of various thesaurus and dictionaries for doing this. If you want, you can get so many things in the internet, so you can paraphrase the sentences easily. There are some softwares like Quillbot, Spinbot, which can also be employed for this field, but always human perception is very important. A bot or a machine can do, but without the help of human, it's impossible for us to avoid. Then plagiarism can be avoided by all serious steps, and I wish every one of you to avoid plagiarism. If you are a serious author who is writing a research article, or somebody who is doing your PhD, you should avoid plagiarism. In future, it's going to be a big problem. You may lose your degree, or you may lose your job if you're doing plagiarism continuously. So be cautious and avoid plagiarism. Thank you.